Live from JMT Studios, it's time for Two Jersey Kids, the best video game podcast on the planet.
What's going on, all you Jersey kids out there? This is episode 68 of the Two Jersey Kids podcast. We are finally back. It's been a hiatus since, last week was Christmas, and me and Gary were off celebrating in our own right, hanging out with family, and sort of things didn't work out properly, but I hope all you had a merry holiday experience, whether it was Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever you were celebrating. I hope you had a good time. I am the host of this video game podcast, because this week may just be just a bunch of different topics. Who knows? My name is Adam Buckingham. Alongside me, as always, the best handler in the business, Gary Seisel. How you doing today, buddy?
Aloha. Doing good. It's a nice Saturday off from work. Doesn't really come around that often, I feel like, except for
do you work Saturdays a lot?
Yeah, I mean, usually I work Saturday and Sunday, but this time around it's the past few weeks I've had off Saturday because of, holidays and other stuff going on, so It's been nice to kind of just relax on the weekend, and this weekend wasn't even supposed to happen. I wasn't supposed to have off today, but it kind of just worked out that way, so I'm happy to be here.
What's your ideal thing to do on the weekend? Like, what would you, when you have a free weekend, what do you like to do? Is it now streaming, or do you go out and play some hockey? What is it?
Yeah, it's funny. Now that I work more, I guess, when you start working, you start to value your free time a little bit more.
Yeah.
So on weekends now, yeah, I mean, I do like to stream. I guess that's something that I do. I just finished streaming a few minutes ago. So that's something that's definitely kind of taken up some time recently, but hockey, there's not much. It's weird. There's not a lot of like free ice on the weekend, so I can't play hockey as much unless it's men's league. So I'm kind of just chilling out at home, which is not a big deal to me. I kind of like relaxing.
Yeah, and I feel like sometimes it's, especially when you start working, sometimes you feel the obligation, like you need to do everything, like when you have free time. But sometimes you don't need to, do everything all the time. You can take a chill pill. It's okay to just relax and just be yourself. Be in yourself. You don't need to be running around nonstop doing crazy things, even if you're in your 20s like we are. I don't feel the need to go buck wild every weekend just because I have free time away from work. Sometimes you need to just relax and be to yourself and recoup and recover from whatever you're probably doing the prior week. But it don't feel like you're obligated to do something. I don't think that's how I feel. You don't need the need to go out. You don't need to force yourself, I guess, if you're not into that type of scene.
Yeah, and if you're around people a lot, like I am, it is nice to sometimes just be at home and just kind of be in like a vacuum. You're just in a little space by yourself, doing your own thing. You can behave any way you wish.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
That's what was rough about Christmas is, like, I love being around my family. I love talking to them. But at a certain point, I get tired of people, no matter who they are. I get tired if there's a lot of people around me. I just feel more drained than anything just because I'm more introverted and I don't really get energy from when people are around me. So when I'm just sitting there and just people are yapping back and forth about random things, talking about sporting events, and I get annoyed at some people's takes. The hot sports takes from family members are the worst when they're just idiotic. I'm sorry, but it actually is. It just frustrates me. And when I get more and more sleepy, I just get more and more annoyed. I'm like, I don't want to deal with this. Leave me be. I just want to chill and relax. But did Santa Claus experience? Oh Jesus! Did that? Oh! Are you getting weird sound from me when I talk?
I'm good right now. We're good.
I don't know what it was. I think I was sticking my the headphones too close to the mic, and then it started freaking out on my end. Oh, it's doing it again. It's freaking out. But did Santa Claus treat you well, Gary?
Absolutely. So I guess every Christmas list now that I go through, it's getting harder and harder to come up with ideas, but this time around, it was kind of a little bit easier because since I started up streaming, there's been some things that I've needed, actually. So I got a second monitor, which has been a godsend. I've been reading chat on my phone for way too long. Very annoying. So I got a second monitor now, makes things a lot easier. Not just streaming, but everything in general. I've been playing games now and having a guide or something on another screen. It's very useful. So I had that. I got a webcam stand, kind of keep the webcam in place and not just sitting on top of like a random box or whatever.
Mine's sitting on top of my monitor and it can fall off at any point.
Exactly. That's the thing. I had to be careful. So Yeah, I got those things. I actually got a random gift. I wasn't expecting it. I got a Lego set, a Star Wars Lego set. Pretty sweet.
That's cute.
Yeah, one of like the walkers from the latest movie.
Mm-mm.
Pretty cool to put together. So I got some good stuff. Yeah, but it was really awesome to kind of just have the family around again. We went to a family party on, I guess it was last Friday, and a lot of drinking went down, which I don't typically do anymore. So drinking for me now, I have a few beers or whatever, heavier beers, mind you, and it's kind of like a problem.
You're out, yeah.
Yeah, so I had way more than I should have, and
that is why Two Jersey Kids was not recorded.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I was so bad. First of all, my uncles. When you meet up with my family, it's just nonstop drinking. You just don't stop. You walk in the door, you get a drink, and then it's just everybody's getting each other drinks for the rest of the night. So,
do you have other family in Jersey, or are they in other states? Because I don't remember ever meeting anybody outside your immediate family.
They're all in. Anybody that I really get together with is usually in Philadelphia, but we have some family now that has moved to New Jersey.
No,
some of my cousins, right? Yeah. Well, some of my cousins two of my cousins now live in New Jersey, so we meet up at their houses occasionally. That's actually where the Christmas party was, but. Yeah, oh my God, it was so bad. But it was a great Christmas, nonetheless, despite the horrific hangover I had. Yeah.
That reminds me, what was it? Was it last Thanksgiving? Was it the past Thanksgiving?
Yes. It was the last one last year.
Last year, where you just were hammered the night before and just could not get up. I remember we were planning on doing it at 11 a.m. and then you were just like, nope, can we please cancel this? Like, we started talking and I was like, and you're just wrecked. You could have, I don't think you could have, like, no, you could put sentences together, but it looked like you're about to just fall asleep on the table and maybe puke. I don't know. It wasn't even
the fact that I was like tired or anything. It was the fact that I was just in such, like, I was so hungover at that point. I had been mixing drinks the night before because, once again, this time it's my sister's friends who are insane. Were just nonstop handing me drinks the entire night, and I was just like dead by the end of the night. Oh my God, it was brutal.
I don't think we've touched on this. When you get a hangover, is it more in your head or is it in your stomach? I am the one where it's more in my stomach and nothing sits well, and I feel queasy, and I feel like I'm just, not feeling well. I do feel somewhat in my head, but I've never gotten like a pounding headache from, a hangover, so to speak. It's mostly in my stomach.
I usually have like a headache slightly, but it's always like nausea and stuff. I'm like kind of like feel like I'm on a boat all the time. I can't eat anything. Whatever I eat the rest of the day feels weird. I feel awful the rest of the day. That's my hangover experience.
Gotta get connections with military servicemen where they can just hook us up with an IV.
Oh, wouldn't that be amazing?
Get hydrated right away. That would be amazing.
It would be brilliant. I actually had a stomach virus one time, and they hooked me up to my IV. I felt amazing immediately. I was like, "This is great."
Yeah, I remember I had to get a scope done for my stomach because I've always had stomach issues growing up, and they hooked me up to an IV. I was nervous at first because I don't like needles in general. I mean, who does realistically? Who's like, "Oh, I want to get stuck with the needle," besides like steroid users and all that jazz. But hooked me up, and it's just a weird sensation of just coolness running up my arm. It was amazing. I felt $1 million, but like a hangover. I was just thinking it's kind of like you just feel off the next day completely. It's kind of like what happens when I remember I passed out one time giving blood for something just because I didn't eat the night before. Even though they tell you not to eat, but I feel like that leads more to passing out and everything. I didn't eat I didn't eat that much, and I didn't eat breakfast, and then they stuck a needle in me, and I was just like sitting there, and then I was like, all of a sudden, like I started hearing like weird sounds in my brain, and then I was like out. I was like, oh, I'm taking a nap, but not really a nap because your body just feels out of it because you weren't planning on taking it, you weren't planning on going unconscious, so your body's just out of it for the rest of the day. And I didn't go to school. I was like, oh my God, I feel awful.
Well, that's the worst part is that like whenever I'm hungover, I always have this weird thing where I'm like self-conscious of myself being hungover, and then I can't seem to like interact with people the way I normally can. I normally I can speak very well, but when I'm hungover, I can't formulate things right. I'm stuttering. It's terrible. I'm just off. So yeah, but that's been my Christmas experience, my break.
Random thing that I thought today, because me and Marta were house sitting a puppy, one of her friends that got a recent golden doodle. And I was just wondering, like, how do dogs actually form memories? I know this sounds really strange. It doesn't connect it at all, but I sort of attribute it to, like, are dogs more like people when they black out drunk and they don't actually form new memories, but they are coherent and can do things? Like, they can walk, they can do all these other things, they can get back to certain places? Or is that what, like, animals are like? They just go off instinct and just work their way, but they can't, I guess they, obviously, because their brains are tiny, they can't form new memories, so it doesn't feel the same way as, I guess, it would for us.
I don't know. I mean, it seems like, I think they can maybe form some sort of memory.
I'm sure they sort of form some sensory connection between, like, smells and feelings and, sounds of people's voices, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I would think so. I mean, you see, like, how certain animals are afraid of, like, I mean, I've seen, like, my sister's dog, for example, gets afraid of certain things or certain objects after after it frightens them, frightens him the first time, he gets scared of it.
That was like
the next time he sees it,
My dog Sparky, when he was a puppy, a gigantic gate fell on top of him. So ever since, he was afraid of that singular gate. No other gate he was afraid of, just that one. He thought it was going to fall over. Even though he was as tall as the gate by the time he was big, he was still afraid of it. God, that dumb dog. I loved him.
Awesome.
But before, I guess we're still talking and chatting, but we're not even into the gaming stuff yet. But what have you been up to? Since it's been a while, I know we both saw Star Wars. I don't know if you want to go into a non-spoiler slight discussion of it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'll basically just talk about my reactions to the movie and everything, but it's been a little while now, so my take on it might not be as fresh as it would have been like last week, but I really enjoyed the movie as a Star Wars fan.
Me too.
I know there's a lot of people out there that were, like, I guess, disappointed because they had expectations going in that, the story was going to go off of what, like The Force Awakens set up a certain amount of suspense when it comes to, like, Luke Skywalker and everything. And I guess the way some of those events unfolded, like when Rey met Luke, I guess they didn't pan out the way that some people thought they were going to. I understand the disappointment there, but I
like the way it did pan out. They took a swerve. I thought it
wasn't predictable.
I wanted something different. I didn't want, because people were bitching and complaining about the first one being the same redrawn of the New Hope and some of Return and some of Empire, where it's all like touches on ends, kind of roughly the same. Where now this is they finally take a chance and do something completely different, and now people are upset about that. I really like the chances they took, the different things they were doing, the story that they were telling. I mean, some portions of the movie I felt like could have been cut and done a lot differently, shortened down the movie so it didn't feel like you were just drawn out. Because at a certain point where they went to, like, the planet, like there's a casino planet, that whole sequence I feel like could have cut down and shrunk to a lot more, make it smaller. Even though people were saying pod racers should have been there, I was like, I don't like pod racers. I never liked them, but people love them for some reason. But I felt like that could have been shrunken down a lot more. You could have trimmed the fat pretty easily in that whole sequence, but I guess they wanted to create the connection between those two characters.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of, I guess that's the way to look at it, is they needed to kind of connect Finn and Rose together. Yeah. But I didn't have a problem with, I thought that part of the movie was kind of the weakest part of the movie, but it didn't, like, really, like, oh my God, this is so bad, I'm so bothered by this. It wasn't like that, but I will say it was the weaker part of the movie. But overall, I really thought it was a solid movie.
I like the direction they took. I really do. How does this one actually rank in your whole Star Wars rankings? I think, did you tweet that out, that you actually had a...
Yeah, I had a ranking. It's hard to say now. It really is, because I'm trying to re-examine how I feel about the original trilogy.
Yeah.
Because I watch it.
People hold such a high standard to the original trilogy, but if you go back, they weren't like I know Empire is like an amazing movie, but they weren't like top-notch like storytelling. They were still pretty campy, and like the way they deliver lines weren't perfect. I mean, Mark Hamill back in that day was an inexperienced actor, so they weren't top-notch actors back then. So I just felt like people hold them on such high pedestals, but I think at that time in place, I mean, they were probably amazing, but going back, they're not, as amazing as a story you could tell now with the new effects and everything, but they still, time and place, I feel like, the Star Wars movies are amazing. So I think it's, give and take. Me personally, I like this so much. Like, I think I would put this Empire still number one. I mean, because Empire, like I said, is a pretty fantastic movie. I think Empire Strikes Back 5 is number one. Then I think it's A New Hope before this one, and then I would put this one before Return, and then the prequels, because I don't feel like numbering the prequels.
I think you might be right. Yeah,
And then Episode 7 comes before the prequels, and Rogue One comes before, I think, probably Return. But
yeah, I think it's definitely, I like it more than The Force Awakens. I wasn't one of those people that was like freaking out about the fact that, it's Episode 4 all over again. Here we go. I wasn't one of those guys. But I will say I liked it better than The Force Awakens upon first viewing. I want to watch it again at some point.
They had a lot of stuff going on in that movie, which I enjoyed. I love the way they described the Force and they were talking about it. I like the way that they sort of had some joking moments where it was necessary, and I don't know, I just liked that they had some touch of seriousness with also still some lightheartedness. I thought there's one gripe I had. I thought they tried to force humor sometimes a little bit in the movie, which kind of bothered me slightly, because I don't want Star Wars to become like a Marvel movie.
Yeah, people were calling it like it kind of became Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't want that at all. To be honest, I want it to be. I don't like.
I've seen Guardians of the Galaxy. I've seen the Marvel movies. They're not. This one's not nearly as pushing like the comedy left and right. I feel like this was. I felt like the portions that I saw of comedy, I thought it was fine. I didn't think it took away from what was happening. I feel like maybe at certain portions they didn't expect it to be more comedic, but it ended up being more comedic. I don't know. I don't want to go dive into certain things, but. I feel like certain portions they may have not intended it to be comedic, but just because of the way the actors were portraying it, it was actually funnier just because.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that. Yeah, I mean, in terms of ranking this movie, I think that it's definitely. I would say I would agree with you on Empire Strikes Back being number one. A New Hope's kind of an interesting thing for me. I like that movie a lot, but sometimes I've never been a huge fan of the Death Star scene. I'm sorry, I have to be honest with you guys. I think it just drags on for so goddamn long, and it's just my personal opinion there. I like A New Hope. It might be above The Last Jedi, but The Last Jedi is definitely in the top 5. Yeah, I think it's above Return of the Jedi, like you were saying. I think Return of the Jedi was great in its own way, in a certain way. It showed like an awesome showdown between Darth Vader and Luke, but some parts in that movie, after going back over and over again, just for like the Ewok thing, kind of like Jar Jar Binks-esque in a way. But yeah, I mean, I think all the new movies that they've come out with have been on point. Yeah, I feel like if Return of the Jedi, I think I've thought of this prior, but if Return of the Jedi actually took place in Wookieeville, like a Wookiee planet, where I think they were originally intending to do. I don't remember what held them back. Maybe they didn't have enough actors or actresses that were 7 feet tall to play Chewbacca. Well, I think they were actually supposed to be like a lizard reptilian race they were supposed to meet, but then I think George Lucas decided to go into like the family direction. He didn't want to go like kind of too, I don't know, action movie adult, which is so typical of Star Wars. So yeah, but I mean, I feel like if they did, they could have done more Wookiees, because Wookiees I still think are pretty, they're fluffy and furry, and they still have a family aspect to it, but they can be ferocious and stuff. They're menacing, unlike these little teddy bears, which were what they were. I feel like that would have made more sense if you just placed the Ewoks with Wookiees. Yeah, no, I agree. That movie would have been a lot better, in my opinion. It would make more sense in my head, but this is not a Star Wars podcast. This is surprisingly a video game podcast. If you stuck with us this whole 19 minutes, do we want to roll into what we've been, besides that, what else have you been up to, G? Yeah, I'll talk about my gaming life. Sure, what the hell? Sure, do it. All right, so lately, it's been kind of the same old games I've been playing. I've been streaming more. Lately, I've streamed, I guess, this is like the first week I've done 6 out of 7 days streaming, so that was kind of cool. It's been really awesome, honestly, to see like the growth we've been having. Nice, at least man. With, I'm proud of you. The streaming. It's been awesome. But yeah, I've been playing a lot of Civ 5, playing some Skyrim lately, playing some Fortnite. been diving into that with some
Interesting.
friends. It's fun to play with friends. You know?
Yeah.
It's one of those things. But there's not a lot of games right now. Well, there are a lot of games. One of my viewers, actually, interestingly enough, gifted me some games. Borderlands being one of them. I gotta dive into that game.
That's so nice of them. Wow,
Yeah.
shout out to them. What's their name?
Joe. Well, his name in Twitch anyway is Joe Panda Guy, and then he's also can be found on Twitter at It's Joe LOL. So yeah.
Well, thanks, Joe.
Good dude.
You the
But yeah.
man.
I gotta dive into some new games. I think maybe Borderlands is calling my name, but gaming wise, that's pretty much been it. I mean, I've been kind of just streaming and playing some of those similar games.
You should start putting your streams onto YouTube.
Hey, recording them. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, just put them on there. I think what is it? OBS, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
I think you can do a portion where you just record instead of stream, but you may be able to do both. I'm not positive. But
I'll have to look into it.
Look into it. Maybe you'll start your own YouTube channel, or you can put it on Two Jersey Kids.
Hey.
There we go. We have a YouTube channel with actual videos. But what was I going to say? Anything besides that? I saw you were playing Stellaris. How do you say that?
Stellaris. That's how I say Stellaris. I say both. I don't know.
Tomato. Who gives the F?
I was playing that game. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. I just have no idea what I'm doing. I streamed that game for like an hour, I think. I was streaming for a while the other day, and I was like, I'm going to end this on Stellaris, just kind of go out in a different way and see how it goes. And oh my God, I was like, what is happening? There's so much stuff going on. It's real time.
Oh, it's a real time one. Oh, damn.
Yeah.
You can't even take a breather on that.
I mean, you can pause it, but I mean, if I paused it, I didn't know what the hell I was doing anyway I wasn't like creating ships. I had no idea. So I was kind of perplexed. So I had to sit down, play that game off stream, and kind of get a grip on what I'm doing before I start trying to become Gary, the Stellaris expert.
I never even heard of that game until you played it, even though I looked up on Steam and people really do enjoy it from what I can tell, the positive reviews. Was that gifted to you, or did you actually go out and purchase it just because it was interesting?
That was also gifted.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Unexpected, but yeah, very generous to say the least. But yeah, I was playing that game, and it's just definitely something I would love. It's sci-fi, it's strategy. You go out and explore planets. You try to find a planet to inhabit. You're basically like facing an extinction event, I guess. I'm not sure if that changes every game, but yeah, you're facing an extinction, and you have to find a new planet to settle. And
interesting.
Yeah, a lot of stuff involved. You meet other alien civilizations that could be dangerous, could be friendly. So yeah,
just depends.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of all random every time you play. Roll the dice. Yep, spot on. But yeah, it's basically been it. I mean, I've been kind of just chilling. But what have you been gaming at all? I know you've hopefully had some free time. I know you've been busy with work a lot.
Yeah, just for some reason I've been run down in general about just things in general. Very vague, but it's just I just feel drained. But over the Santa Claus treated me well. I ended up getting a Switch. So
nice.
Yeah,
you finally got it. Nice.
Switch finally came into my grasp. I got the bundle with Super Mario Odyssey, so I've been actually playing around, and I really enjoy it. I mean, it's a Mario game. Who doesn't love a 3D Mario game? I'm really enjoying it. It's really goofy, as all Mario games are. You're basically running, trying to save Peach from Bowser, who Bowser is now trying to set up a wedding on the moon, which is what's happening. But you go around, Bowser steals a magical tiara, it seems like, and then you find the magical top hat that then becomes Mario's hat that you fling around, so the hat mechanic comes into play. Really enjoy it, so you can just like turn into a T-Rex or a human or like a random little thing where you can like fling up higher. So that gameplay mechanic is in it, and there's a lot of, each level is tailored to different basically different enemies that are in the map that then you can turn into, and then you can use them to platform to certain areas. So one, for example, is you're trying to get to the top portion of this world, which was like Food World or something, and there's a bird floating around this gigantic pot on a volcano, and you have to turn into like the hoppy like fire things that you see all the time in Mario games, and you just hop through like the hot magma areas, and that's a platforming thing to get all the way up there, and you fight it as a hot flaming dude, I guess you can say. But I mean, I really enjoying it. I made it to the moon. You basically are collecting these power moons. I guess they sort of hinted that you're going to the moon with all the moons in general, but you're collecting this moon because you have a spaceship and you're trying to build up the sail all the way through. So every mission you then build it up and then you add a piece to your it's called the Odyssey, which makes sense, Super Mario Odyssey, and then you end up traveling to the next world, travel farther and farther. You're fighting Bowser's wedding planning brigade to get to him. So yeah, this game is ridiculous. It's really strange, but I haven't beaten it yet. I'm on the moon now, trying to take down Bowser. I don't know what's going to happen after that. I heard some crazy shit happens. By crazy shit, I mean like normal Mario crap. So it'll be fun.
Now, is there any other games you got besides Super Mario Odyssey, like Breath of the Wild or anything?
So I got a Visa gift card to purchase.
Nice.
Right now, I don't have micro SD to plug into the Switch. I'm gonna get that eventually. But right now, I'm just playing Mario Odyssey, so I don't feel like I need to get it. And then there's still other space for other smaller games. So I got indie titles. So I got Blossoms of Tales, which is kind of like a Zelda game, but like the 2D version of Zelda that you'd see like the old style where it's top down and you're running around. So it's kind of like a mimic of that, imitation of that. So I got that because I heard really good things about it. And then I also got Stardew Valley. That was nice. I was excited to play actually on the go. I was looking into because they had sales for NBA 2K18 and like FIFA, and I was like, do I need to purchase? Because the fact that I don't know, there's something that switched in me. Funny enough, no pun intended, but there's something that switched in me where I started playing these games on the go, and like it was a handheld. What I wanted the Vita to be, where it was like this amazing, handheld console where you can actually play. Because I don't care about like it being 1080p all the time. If it's 720p, that's fine, and it still handles these, beefy games, so to speak. I would love to play it, but I don't want to play like a stripped down version of it, which I saw that FIFA and NBA 2K18 were kind of still stripped down versions of the original game, which I don't want. I want an actual game, so maybe they'll get there because there's a story that they're delaying these 64 gigabyte Switch cards until later on, which has an interesting effect on third parties where they can't bring their super large game over just quite yet. But I've been enjoying it. I want to play more, Switch on the go. I'm liking what I'm seeing. It feels great, honestly. Surprisingly enough, I'm really enjoying it. I know people don't like putting the Joy-Cons into the little controller handheld thing, but I don't mind it. Mind you, I'm just playing on the go most of the time in handheld mode, which I feel like a lot of people do. But I actually went out because I was curious because battery life is minimal when you're in handheld mode playing these beefy games like Zelda or Super Mario Odyssey, where it's only like 3 hours at most it can last without a charge. So I actually went out and purchased, looked online, saw like there's a battery pack where you can put it in, and it extends the life like 9 hours. So now it's like 12 hours total, which I'm happy about.
Nice. That
it allows it to extend it farther, and I feel like that was I looked into it, and there was like an Indiegogo for one of them, which was like $85. I was like, then I looked more into their Twitter feed. Doesn't seem like they're responding to people at all. They're late on delivering their products. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to go to this other thing that I saw on Amazon that people enjoyed and actually has been shipped out. And it's also, $30 cheaper. So go for that. So that's. I think it came in today, but I didn't actually go get it yet. I actually was down at the gym, and then I walked past the kiosk area where you ask for your packages, said I didn't have a package, and then I saw an Amazon person walk into my building. I said, no, the thing's over there, not thinking that maybe my thing was in there. It was supposed to be delivered today. Get up to my apartment, and I see on my phone, oh, your package is delivered. I was like, oh, you've got to be shitting me right now. God damn it. But
gotta walk all the way down there again.
Nah, I just not feeling the mood. I need to go after we record. I'm going to be, hopping in the shower, try to wash off all my sweatiness. Ugh, I know people love hearing that.
Dear God.
Other than that, I mean, I got my brother into Stranger Things over the weekend, so he binge watched both seasons in a matter of 3 days, I believe. So that was insane. I got to meet my quote-unquote nephew, as my mom and brother like to call it, but he got a puppy back a few months back, a French bulldog. Got to meet Winston. Big, just he's like cute, being that he's so ugly that he's cute type of deal, where he has like the big buggy eyes and the crinkled up snout, and he breathes all the time like he's like having trouble breathing, so he sounds like he purrs all the time. So late at night when I see him, I can't see his face. So I just see his like pointy ears and like his breathing, so it sounds like a cat in his outline. He looks like a big buff cat, which is really off-putting and strange. But no, I mean he's a goofball, and he likes to run around, play fetch and stuff. I think I taught him how to drop it. I don't know if that stuck after I left, but I taught him. I did something. And then I also saw this movie. Have you seen on Netflix the movie called Bright with Will Smith and the Orc?
I have not.
No? People, critics were giving it crap, and I feel like the main reason they're giving it crap is, one, they're not used to it just coming straight to Netflix. This is his first, Netflix major motion picture. Just went straight to Netflix, and it was actually a pretty solid movie. It was by the people that I think made End of Watch, the one with Jake Gyllenhaal, where they're cops, and they're following around cops who are taking down a drug deal, that sort of perspective type deal, where now it's Will Smith, and it's kind of set into, somebody actually said it was kind of funny that it was like Lord of the Rings, but they fast forward it until today, where there's orcs and elves, and the elves are the high class of society, humans are in the middle, orcs are always frowned upon because they had a rising 2,000 years ago or something, and the orc you follow around is the first orc on the force, and there's a lot of controversy that happened in prior years. That I think it's great. I don't think it's going to win any Oscars. I don't think it's amazing, but for it being on Netflix and being free, quote unquote free, but I watch enough Netflix where I think it is basically free. That I think it's a solid movie to check out if you're into that. And yeah, I would recommend it. I actually enjoyed it.
Nice.
But
Netflix movies.
Yeah, that's about it. That's about it from what I can remember of what I've been up to. I'm trying to figure out what I need to do for New Year's Eve. I don't want to be out too late, even though I feel like that's what Marta wants to do. But because I hate being around drunk people, and I don't want to be driving back late, so I'm trying to do something where it's on the same metro line where I am, so I don't have to worry about driving back, even though I hope the metro stays open later, just because it's New Year's Eve, but we'll see. The DC Metro is not top-notch service-wise, the people that work there, TBH, but, I guess we've been on this shtick in the beginning for a while now. I guess I think it's time to get into the news. You feel me?
Yeah, let's do it.
Since you didn't do this week in gaming history, now we're just going to hop right into the news, which is completely fine. It's okay. I'm not mad or anything.
Hey, look, we had a lot to talk about. We haven't been recording for a long while here, so we had some stuff to talk about here.
What has it been now? 3 weeks, I guess you could say, because last week we didn't record, the week prior. Yeah, it's been about 3 weeks, a little over 3 weeks. So yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while since I chatted to you, Gary. Also, nice Flyer shirt.
Yeah, man.
Haven't they been playing a little better?
Yeah, they've been playing. They've been playing pretty well, actually, since they lost, went 10 winless. Yeah, they've been playing okay. So
that's good.
Anyway, that's beside the point.
Marta just ran into the bedroom, so yeah. If you heard the door slam, it wasn't me, I promise. Starting off, apparently, playing too many video games is a mental health disorder, the World Health Organization says. There was a beta draft of WHO's forthcoming 11th update of the International Classification of Diseases, the ICD-11, which now includes, quote-unquote, gaming disorder, along with the following description, quote, gaming disorder is characterized by a pattern of persistent or recurrent gaming behavior, digital gaming or video gaming, which may be online, over the internet, or offline, manifested by 1, impaired control over gaming, 2, increasing priority given to gaming to the extent that gaming takes precedent over other life interests and daily activities, 3, continuation or escalation of gaming despite the occurrence of negative consequences. The behavior pattern is sufficient severity to result in significant impairment in personal, family, social, educational, occupational, or other important areas of functioning. The pattern of gaming behavior may be continuous or episodic and recurrent. The gaming behavior and other features are normally evident over a period of at least 12 months in order for a diagnosis to be assigned, although the required duration may be shortened if all diagnostic requirements are met and symptoms are severe, end quote. Being in the ICD-11 will mean that it will officially become a health condition, a diagnosis that can be used by doctors, other healthcare workers, and insurance companies. From what I remember of researching about this, about 8% they were saying are experienced with actually, gaming addiction or gaming, a quote unquote gaming disorder. But I just want to get your thoughts on this, G.
Yeah, well, first of all, I think it's about time, I guess, that they finally classified this as an actual thing, because I think it is for some people an addiction, just like anything else, gambling, smoking, doesn't matter. But I wonder how they're going to go about treating this sort of thing. Is it going to be like therapy sessions or like some sort of intervention, medication? I mean, hopefully not medication, because I feel like that's already enough of a business right now as it is. But I mean, I would be surprised if it went down that route. But I feel like I've known people in the past that could perhaps have had a gaming addiction to certain games.
For sure.
And they may have. It seems like the people that I used to know that play like Call of Duty, for example, nonstop, 50 days worth of play time. It seems like they've gotten over that since, but it'd be interesting to see.
I feel like most of the time where you get a game, quote unquote, gaming disorder, game addiction I feel like that is affected more when you're a kid, where you have that free time, where you have the ability to go and play, and you rather do that than, hang out with other people. And I feel like when life sort of catches up with you, when you become more of an adult in college, you can't play as often, even though I know certain people play all the time in college, but then you get a job, it's kind of hard to play when you have a 9 to 5 all the time, so you have to find time then. So you're sort of, breaking up your play sessions where you don't feel like you need to play it all the time, but when you're younger, your brain is developing, you're more attached to certain things, especially when you're young, you can get clingy to whatever it is. I mean, a lot of times habits sort of start when you're younger, maybe teenage years, or like say you're 16 and you started doing like you start like dipping or tobacco dipping that you do, like some baseball players do, and it's carried all the way through. Sometimes it's harder to resist earlier on, and sometimes it just sticks with you all the way. I mean, I don't want to classify Paul as this with Dota, but I feel like he has an addiction to Dota, and it becomes a problem when you're starting, you want to have a family, or you're with your family and you're ignoring them, or you're now playing games over, experience time with them or having fun with them. And I've seen, when I saw on Reddit, I think some people were mentioning how they've seen worse things happen with this quote unquote addiction. And I feel like the best way to treat them is just talking. There's no medication, I don't think, that can treat this. Who knows, though? They make crazy medications about random things. But I feel like it's more of just, trying to wean them off, or have like a quote-unquote intervention about how it affects, the people around you.
Well, if you think about it, World of Warcraft in that game. I mean, talk about a gaming addiction. You saw how many marriages that game broke up. I mean, holy crap. People just couldn't take themselves away from the keyboard. So I mean, it's a real thing, and
I'm curious when it's going to become turn around, not just be gaming. When is it going to become like technology addiction? When's that going to happen? When's it going to be social media addiction? When is it going to just seriously all the way down? Because people have addictions to their phone. I mean, I sometimes catch myself randomly checking my phone when I don't need to, when I don't expect to, and it's just like you mention all the time. People that are more versed in this say that we are getting addicted. We're getting that dopamine addiction of people liking or retweeting our tweet, or liking our post, or liking our picture on Instagram, and all that jazz, and it just I feel like you're technically getting a drug pushed into your brain. When you get dopamine, you get a hit of it. It can very well lead to an addiction where you want more.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, social media for sure. I think it would probably be an alarming statistic to see how many people are addicted to their phones and social media, because I've had similar situations myself where you're sitting there and you're checking an app and you're like, wait a minute, I just checked this like 5 minutes ago. Why am I back here again? And it's like, Jesus. I'm like, why is this happening?
Or sometimes you try to find a reason to look at your phone when you don't have other things. And I think I don't know. I wonder if it's more of an education front where it's okay to be bored. Like, you don't need to be on your phone all the time. You're allowed to be bored. That actually starts. That boredom is what drives and creates like interesting inventions where you're just sitting there thinking. You're in your own thoughts. It's okay to be there. Sometimes it's all right to be bored. You know, your brain sometimes makes connections when you're not doing anything, when you're not just looking at something or reading something or doing all that jazz. So sometimes boredom is good. Try it out, folks.
Be bored more.
Even though I hate boredom, but sometimes it's important. Moving on. Lizard Squad's founder is looking at 2 years in a federal prison. Zachary Butcha one of the founding members of Litter Squad, admitted in a plea agreement that he was one of the Litter Squad's founders, along with another hacker group called Poodle Corp. Poodle Corp. Great name. That's sarcasm, by the way. Don't hack us, please. Both sold services offering to harass people online with phone bombs and other harassing calls. He has pleaded guilty in a federal court and faces an active jail sentence for more than 2 years. Bucha's plea appears not to involve the 2014 attacks on PlayStation Network or Xbox Live, among several notorious incidents involving Lizard Squads over the course of 5 months before it faded out. Also that year, Lizard Squad claimed responsibility for a phony bomb threat that diverted an American Airlines flight carrying John Schmeldy, at the time president of Sony Online Entertainment. After Schmeldy's division was spun off as Daybreak Games, Lizard Squad continued to target the company's servers with DDoS attacks. Fucking pieces of shit. Bucha's case instead involved a harassment for hire service in which a page he set up, phonebomber.net, would, for $20, flood a phone service with a recorded message. Bucha's plead guilty to one count of conspiracy to commit damage to protected computers. That charge carries a potential sentence of 10 years in prison. However, assuming Bucha works with federal investigators, prosecutors will recommend he do only 2.5 years in a federal penitentiary. Thoughts? Money.
Well deserved. I'm so happy to hear this. I am so tired of. I remember a few years ago, I was so tired of hearing about Lizard Squad and the fact that they were constantly wreaking havoc with everybody's enjoyment and entertainment. I'm really happy to see this happen. You know, you get what you deserve. If you want to ruin people's, entertainment and enjoyment, free time, and not only that, but possibly risk their personal information and God knows what else, then you get what you deserve. I'm happy about it.
Yeah, I don't get people. We're to talk about it more later on when it became more of a serious where people are purposely causing harm, trying to cause harm to others just for the fun of it. Like, do they feel powerless and they want to feel like they can inflict pain on people? I don't get it. Like, I really don't get why people want to do this. Like, why do they do it? It's not even hacking, so to speak. They just flood servers. I just don't. Yeah. I just don't get it. Like, why? Like, why?
You gotta feel important.
Why found a company like this? Why do that? Why not just put your services to better use for the greater good of society?
Is it really a company though?
No,
or
it's not a company. I mean,
losers?
Let's be honest. Found a group, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But I don't think we need to spend any more time. I hope he gets full 10 years, but I doubt it. It'd probably be 2.5.
Life sentence.
But unless he collaborates, and cooperates and brings in other people from the group, then maybe that's a good thing. Bring more people in to serve their crime, because it's kind of harassment. Like, it's a more extreme version of harassment. You're trying to inflict some sort of emotional harm onto people, especially if you're bugging their phone where they can't even keep it on, just because you're offering a service for somebody to inflict pain on other people, or annoyance, I guess you could say. Not pain, but annoyance.
Well, you got to factor in too that it's, you're interrupting the service of Sony, Microsoft. You're costing them money. You're not just costing people enjoyment, but also money as well.
Yeah.
When that happens, money is more important to a lot of people. So
that's true.
That's a problem.
Yeah. But moving on. Apparently, Nintendo is delaying the production of 64GB Switch cartridges to 2019. At the moment, Switch cards have the capacity of 32GB, with 8GB and 16GB being more commonly used. Nintendo originally planned to introduce 64GB cards in the later half of 2018, but the Wall Street Journal is reporting a delay due to technical issues that are preventing Nintendo from mass-producing larger carts. The Switch, due to its design, requires carts for physical games, unlike the higher capacity discs on stationary consoles. Discs also have the benefit of being far cheaper to produce than the Switch's cart, which Nintendo handles the production of. When a third-party developer wants to publish a Switch game, they contract Nintendo to produce the actual carts, which controls the cost of production. This has led to issues where third parties need larger carts than make financial sense. Take-Two's NBA 2K18, despite needing a 25GB download and thus an SD card, ships on a 16GB cart, even though 32GB is available. Resident Evil Revelations Collection requires the second game be downloaded. Even the Nintendo-published Bayonetta Collection also only has the second game on the cartridge, which seems a little strange that they, I would never got that, where now you get discs or get carts, and then you have to download a portion of the game onto your actual hard drive, when the whole point was it to be physical.
Yeah, why? First of all, this is another situation, again, where I ask Nintendo what they're really trying to do here.
I mean, I understand why they're doing carts because, on such a small device, doing like physical things like making carts makes more sense on a smaller device, and they actually run better than discs themselves. You can read and it goes by quicker, but it causes a rift, I guess, in the third party where now Nintendo is the only person you go through or company you go through for building these carts. Like, Nintendo is the manufacturer behind this, so now they're delaying 64 gigabytes, so maybe that pushes off certain games that are a lot larger, and now you can't get them on your device. And certain games now are getting up to the 100 gigabytes, so I feel like they need to figure this out sometime soon.
Yeah, I feel like it hurts a business, if anything else, especially for Nintendo, and they need the business.
I mean, Nintendo does a good job of making their games a lot smaller than they need to be, but I mean, that's not really the case when you're trying to, coerce third parties to come to your platform too. But I mean, right now Switch has been selling well. They got my money now, so I mean, maybe they should figure it out. Maybe developers will still be waiting at the end just because they see that people are slowly flocking to Switch and sales are doing relatively well. So we'll see. Moving on to a final story of the week, and a kind of a sad, sort of annoying, not annoying and like. It's annoying me, but it's annoying that this happened and sad that it happened. But apparently, the Call of Duty gaming community points to swatting in a deadly Wichita police shooting. So I'm just going to read the article straight out from the Wichita Eagle. Online gamers have said in multiple Twitter posts that the shooting of a man Thursday night by Wichita police was a result of a swatting host involving two gamers. Swatting happens when someone makes a call to the police department with a false story of an ongoing crime, often with killing or hostages involved, in an attempt to draw a large number of police officers to a particular address. Swatting has gained traction across this country with online gamers. Those who try to cause the swatting incidents will use caller ID spoofing or other techniques to disguise their number as being local, or they call local non-emergency numbers instead of 911, according to 911.gov. Deputy Wichita Police Chief Troy Livingston said Thursday night that police were looking into whether the call that led to the shooting was a case of swatting. Livingston said that the department received a call that someone had an argument with their mother, and that the father had been shot in the head and the shooter was holding his mother, brother, and sister hostage. Quote, "That was the information we were working off of," end quote, he said. During a police briefing at City Hall on Friday. Oh, no, I'm reading the wrong thing. Officers went to the 1000 block of McCormick preparing for a hostage situation. They, quote-unquote, got in position, he said. Quote, "A male came to the front door," end quote, Livingston said. Quote, "As he came to the front door, one of the officers discharged his weapon," end quote. Livingston didn't say if the man who was 28 had a weapon when he came to the front door or what caused the officer to shoot the man. Police don't think the man fired at the officers, but the incident is still under investigation, he said. The man who has not been identified the police died at the local hospital. A family member identified that the man who was shot by police was Andrew Finch, one of the Finch's cousins, since Finch didn't even play video games. Quote, "This call was a little peculiar for us. The call went to the substation first, and it was relayed to dispatch. Then dispatch gave it to us. We have a lot of information to go through," end quote. On Twitter, more than a dozen people who identified themselves as being in the gaming community told the Eagle that a feud between two Call of Duty players sparked one of the to initiate a swatting call. After news began to spread about what happened Thursday night, the people in the gaming community through Twitter pointed at two gamers. Quote, "I didn't get anyone killed because I didn't discharge a weapon, and being a SWAT member isn't my profession," end quote, said one gamer who others said made the swatting call. His account was suspended overnight. According to Twitter post on Twitter, two gamers were arguing when one threatened to target the other with a swatting call. The person who was the target of swatting gave the other gamer a false address, which sent police to a nearby home instead of his own, according to Twitter posts. The person who was to be the target of the swatting sent a tweet saying, quote, "Someone tried to swat me and got an innocent man killed," end quote. Livingston, the police deputy police chief, would only provide the block number of the home where this shooting occurred, did not specify the address. Police were seen in front yards of two houses across from each other at the corner of Seneca and McCormick. Dexero, an online news service focused on gaming and Call of Duty game, reported the argument began over a $1 or $2 wager over the game. Quote, This Normally this is a prank, but due to the high stress situation, sometimes it's closer to a death threat from a user trying to get cops to kill them, end quote. One man told the Eagle in an email. The officer who fired the shot, a 7-year veteran of the police department, will be placed on administrative leave, which is department policy. Police experts expect to release more information later. This is just... I mean, there's more to the article talking about swatting, but, I mean... I can't say I'm sort of baffled by this crap. Like how petty do you have to be to do this? Like how, like this is talking about Lizard Squad, but even more, like you're trying to inflict physical harm onto people now when you're calling the cops, you're calling a police stating that there's a hostage situation or somebody's been killed, and now you're, bringing SWAT into the case where every time SWAT goes out onto a call, they're in high stress situations. They're already hyped up. And mind you, I don't think they probably should have obviously discharged the weapon, but, thinking that is a hostage situation, and maybe the officer thought that he had a shot because from the intel, they said it was a hostage situation. Somebody's already been shot. They're assuming this person has a gun, and now, somebody opens the door and maybe they mistook a phone, because I remember going through training at one of my offices where if there's a shooter on the building and police are, coming in and you're trying to escape, do not hold your phone in your hand because they can mistake it as a weapon. Who knows if that happened? Just because a lot of high stress situations, you can sometimes just mistake things. And I don't get why somebody would do this over a $1, $2 charge. Like, do you think you're a big man big man or woman trying to inflict pain on people? Like, the person that called the SWAT on to somebody that they are talking to online or because of a $1, $2 wager, you're now trying to, I saw the quote from Twitter, they're trying to put it onto the police department. Well, I'm not a SWAT officer, or I'm not the one that discharged my weapon. No, but you put them in that situation. You're the quote unquote mastermind behind all of this. So you, on your conscience, has to live with every day that you had the police department murder an innocent man. That is on you. If this proves to be true, this is you that called them. You stated this address. You did all this. I don't know if they can catch them. I don't know how they go about this, but this is on you. You have to realize you have to live every single day that an innocent man is dead because of some stupid bullshit that you did over a $1, $2 wager of fucking Call of Duty. This is fucking stupid. Don't ever do that. If you're a Jersey kid and you do this to somebody, you're officially not a Jersey kid anymore. I'm just dead serious. This is stupid.
Yep. No, I really couldn't have said it any better, actually. I personally, I don't know if I've been living under a rock or not, but I didn't know what swatting was for a long time until I started streaming and someone actually mentioned it. Actually, in one of my streams, someone mentioned something about swatting, or like someone had been swatted before. So I looked it up, and it is unbelievable because even if someone doesn't get physically harmed, it's something that's, I think, emotionally or psychologically jarring. Like, you look at, if someone were to say, for right now, SWAT my house, okay, while I'm streaming, everyone then in my development or lives in my area suddenly thinks that I'm some sort of like criminal, like it's not just like a physical thing, like you overcome the physical stress or the physical pain that you might have been put in, but it's something else. It's the bigger effect that happens outside your house or what people think of you now. It's so messed up. God
forbid you're carrying, like, say you're making a sandwich and somebody calls you and you have a knife with you. Like, what happens then?
Yeah,
you technically have a weapon, and you got called to these situation where they think like there's a hostage and people are getting killed, and like they're probably in now shoot first mentality because the intel says that somebody already has died. But
and that's the thing. You really can't. I don't really think you can blame the cops in this situation, because again, I've watched some videos of this actually happening, and people are like, oh, well, I think that person would be able to explain the situation better if they didn't have a gun pointed at them. Well, what do you expect the SWAT to do? They're called in on these things all the time. They expect the worst case scenario all the time.
Yeah, I mean, that's why they come in. They're special personnel. They come in for these type of situations where, they're expecting somebody armed or somebody dangerous, and that's what they're doing. They're trying to protect themselves to come home to their family every day. So they are, ramped up, and they are, overcharged. And I guess you can blame it on the SWAT all you want, but you put this innocent man in this situation, and then you also put just innocent police officers that are doing their job, and they're expecting one thing. Because, I mean, to defend the police if they come into a situation and are not high-strung and not ready. And what happens if it's an actual situation where somebody's discharging a weapon and then a police officer is killed? I mean,
spot on.
They have to, come into these situations gung-ho. Not gung-ho, that's the wrong term. But you know what I mean? Like, they have to be ready and prepared to, discharge their weapon. It's just the way the SWAT is. I mean, it's not like if a police officer came, it may be I would understand a little differently, like because police officers aren't supposed to be, that high strung if they're just investigating a situation. But SWAT is built for those type of situations.
Exactly, and it's just it's a terrible thing, really.
Yeah,
it's basically, I don't know who this guy is. We'll find out more about it, but it is indeed his entire fault, and he'll have to live with it for the rest of his life, essentially. Mm-hmm. So,
and like, I don't know, what would have happened. Like, would he have felt better if it was actually the person that he was pissed at and he got killed? Like, would he have been happier that way? Like, what was he trying to gain in this situation? Like, I mean, I don't want to say it was smart, but it was kind of smart when you don't give out your complete information. But why would somebody give their address in general online too? So some of the blame is on the other person, where they maybe try to dare him. But I don't know. It just seems like,
I don't know. I think they can look. I think you can look something up, like look up people's locations, and that's the if you put yourself online, put up your first and last name or something. I'm sure someone could find where you live, which is kind of scary.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean.
Like, I just never get this. Like, what are you gaining out of this? It just made me mad just thinking about it.
No, he's gained nothing now, and he may be going to prison, so we'll see.
Should. I think he should.
He will be going to prison if he's found.
Yeah. But, yeah. Well, that was the depressing note to end on the news. Anything happier that you can get us excited for, OG?
Well, I mean, I guess for the rest of the week, I'm going to be taking the rest of the day off and taking Sunday off. But come next week, I'll be streaming again, playing more games if you want to come to the channel and check me out and talk to me. But I mean, kind of the same old stuff. Just kind of trying to stay happy, go to work. And
I think I'm going to be trying to do the same thing. I haven't been on social media too much, at least tweeting or anything, and I apologize for that. I just haven't been feeling it lately. Like, I go through ebb and flows, and normally this time of the year, for certain reasons, Gary probably knows, but certain reasons I'm not completely into it. I'm not in the happy-go-lucky mood all the time, and, things, string me out and, get me annoyed a lot sooner and a lot quicker, and I don't want to, engage with people online. So, sorry if I haven't been online and, you're expecting me to tweet out more. I apologize, but, it's just what I'm going through. I'm sure there's going to be a flood. There's going to be a flood of tweets eventually from me later on about random things or gaming. Who knows? But you can follow the podcast on Twitter at 2JerzyKids. Please go rate us. Gary, do you want to say anything before we go?
I want to wish everybody a happy New Year. I know that's I don't really think it's a great holiday by any means. I think it's kind of overrated. But have a great New Year. It's been great being here, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys again next week.
We love you all, you Jersey kids. Please hit that subscribe button. Please go rate us if you want to go rate us. I'm not going to force you to go rate us. You can find us on a lot of different apps out there. Overcast, Pocket Cast, iTunes, all the Google Play, all those different places. You can follow the podcast at 2JerzyKids. I am Adam Buckingham. You can follow me at Adam J. Buckingham. That is Gary Seisel. You can follow him at RealScavenger18 on Twitter, and also find his Twitch stream, Scavenger18. The 3 is both after the V. And then we are the 2 Jersey Kids. Keep playing those games. Have a good weekend and a good New Year. Bye.